everybody, welcome back. It is February, it is the month of love, and I have been in my romantasy era recently. I really just love to be able to sit down to snuggle up with one of my favorite tropes and just be able to dive headfirst into a world. So when I was looking for more recommendations, I was going to some of my favorite booktubers that I knew read a lot of romantasy and trying to figure out what books they would recommend in certain tropes. So I decided what better way to figure that out than to just ask them. I've asked several of your and my favorite booktubers to share not only their favorite fantasy romance trope, but to also give us a book that they would recommend with that trope. So without further ado, let's see what they had to say.
Hello, my name is Riley and my channel is Riley Marie, and my all-time favorite romantasy trope is the marriage of convenience. I just love seeing two people forced to be married, whether or not they want to. I feel like with this trope, it includes a lot of other tropes that I love, like forced proximity, because they are bound together by marriage. And my favorite fantasy romance that has this trope is Radiance by Grace Draven. This is an amazing fantasy romance book about these two people who are forced to become married in a political alliance. The heroine is a human and the hero comes from a different species called the Kai. And the really funny twist about this book is that they both find the other one to be incredibly hideous. He thinks that humans are just like the ugliest, disgusting little creatures he's ever seen in his life. And he's gray and has claws and completely black eyes, and she's very scared of how he looks. But in this political marriage, they end up becoming very good friends. And through that, it becomes a friends to lovers romance that I was just dying for. It is so sweet, and I just cannot recommend this book enough.
Hello, my name is Steph from Stephanie Bookish, and first off, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this collaboration. I am so excited to tell you about this book today. My favorite trope in fantasy romance is kind of twofold. It is a slow burn. I love a slow burn romance, and I really love when both of those love interests are on the opposite side of something. So for example, Blood Mercy by Vela Roth has a human and a vampire fall in love. So Blood Mercy follows our two love interests, Cassia and Leo is a Hesperine, which is what this race of vampires is called. For many years, the Hesperines have been considered the enemies of humans, and humans are very, very scared of them, believing them to be very violent. So when the Hesperines come to the human lands, Cassia is extremely interested in them because she is actually the bastard of the king, and she doesn't really get to live a typical princess life. She sort of lives in the shadows. She lives in fear of her life and fear of her father, the king. But for some reason, she's extremely captivated by the Hesperines and really wants to get close to Leo. So Leo and Cassia end up forming a friendship that becomes this very, very slow burn romance. But in the background of the romance, there is some lush world building. There are lots of politics, lots of scheming, lots of backstabbing. And let me tell you, I loved it so much because not only does this have my favorite trope of the slow burn and these two characters coming from completely different sides of the world, you also have this very, very well fleshed out world and political system, which just makes this a very well-rounded book. I will say the first book is a bit dense and it's a bit slow to get through, but once you fall in love with these characters and you get a grasp on this world, I guarantee this will be your new favorite series. And there are many books in the series. So I hope you love it as much as I do, especially if you love slow burn.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah from the channel Hannah's Recent Reads, and my favorite fantasy romance trope is enemies to lovers. That is my bread and butter. I love it so, so much. And the book that I'm going to recommend for you is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. I'm not sure if that's how you say that author's last name, but I read this last summer and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite fantasy romances ever. It's more of an enemies to reluctant allies to lovers, but I just loved this so much. I love the two main characters so, so much. This is a celestial fantasy, and we follow our main character Alara, and she is on the run. She's trying to escape. Her kingdom is like under siege, and she goes to her neighboring kingdom, who she does not have good relations with. They are enemies, but they kind of have to come together against this common enemy, and so that's where the reluctant allies comes in. And then she meets Enzo, who is the prince of this other kingdom, and she is the princess of the neighboring kingdom. And they also have opposing magics. So Alara is a shadow mommy. She's got shadow magic and dark magic. And then Enzo, the male main character, he has like sunlight and light magic and stuff. And the banter in this is just so, so top tier. I just love it so much. I annotated my copy of it, and I absolutely love this. If you end up picking this book up, I hope that you love it as much as I do.
Hi friends, my name is Tori from Toribetweenpages. So many exciting things are happening on this day. First of all, Mel asked me to participate in this romantasy collaboration talking about favorite tropes. Say less. I am so here, and I'm here to talk to you about the one horse trope. I feel like not a lot of people know about this trope. It's a new and up and coming, right? We know about the knife to the throat. We know about the one bed trope, but the one horse trope is an elite tension building scene. When our love interests have to ride a horse together and they are like this next to each other for a long journey, a long adventure, and I'm obsessed. So I have more than 2 books, but I'm gonna stick with my 2 favorites that I was screaming, crying, kikiing, teeheeing, kicking my feet, loving every second of it. The first being Blood and Steel by Helen Schurer. Let me give a synopsis. So Blood and Steel, we follow Althea Zaltair. She has her death foretold and she only has 3 years to become this infamous, famous warrior baddie that she's always wanted to become, but women in this society are forbidden to wield blades, and so she is trained in secret her entire life. Now, racing against the clock, she fights to secure her place in the elite guild charged with the protection of the 5 kingdoms. The sparring and hazing of the new trainees border on deadly, but even more dangerous is her growing attraction to the wilder Hawthorne, her unwilling warrior chaperone. Y'all, he's giving man bun. He's giving hot tattoos. He's giving fighting these shadow wraiths with 2 swords that he pulls out from his back. This has one of the best one horse tropes I've ever experienced. Actually, like Breath of the Wild scenery, and they're riding through this forest, and it is so tension building and yummy and delicious. I giggle just talking about it. Now, for my besties who love forearms, first of all, we need to be best friends because hello, me too. A Dawn of Onyx has one of the best one horse tropes, and she is just drooling over his forearms while they're riding this horse, and I am still not okay to this day. We follow our main character, Arwen. She never expected to be the brave one, offering her life to save her brothers. Now she's been taken prisoner by the most dangerous kingdom on the continent and made to use her rare magical abilities to heal the soldiers of the vicious Onyx King. That's all I'm gonna say, but just know that there's shadow magic, there's dragons, there's banter. This is so much fun.
Hello, my name is Sahar. My channel name is literarysahar, and my favorite romance trope, or like romantasy trope, is probably just a good slow burn. I love having to wait and seeing all of our character development and the tension building, and the payoff is always so satisfying. And my recommendation for the slow burn trope is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is the first book in the Plated Prisoner series. This is a King Midas retelling, which follows obviously King Midas, and he has the ability to turn anything he touches to gold. He also has our main character Auren locked up in a cage, and he claims it's for her protection, and she has believed that for many years, but now she's starting to see that probably the cage isn't meant to protect her, but rather to keep her prisoner. This has a lot of content warnings, so I would definitely look that up. If you are looking for a true slow burn, and I'm talking so slow that there is not a drop of romance in this first book, nor is there in the second book. I think at the very tail end of the second book is where we start to kind of see who the love interests are and where the romance is going, and it really picks up in book 3. So this is like the slowest of slow burns, but it is so good. It has so much politics, the romance is incredible, the magic is very, very interesting, there are twists and turns, and it is just such a ride. So if you're looking for a good slow burn fantasy romance, I highly recommend checking out the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy.
Hey guys, my name is Katie. My channel is spicykatzreads, and the one thing, I guess I should say the combination of these things, is something that I will always go batshit feral for, and it is a smutty, enemies to lovers, vampire romance, okay? Put those 3 together, I'm there. I'm sat, I'm there, and I'm ready. I'm ready. And one of my favorite books that combines these 3 things is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. I have 2 copies. This is like my annotated edition when I read it, and then obviously I needed to get a signed edition of it because I love this book so much. It made it on my like favorite books of the year that I ended up reading this, but this is a really fast-paced, enemies to lovers, very smutty vampire fantasy romance. It's such a fun time. We've got a very strong, badass female main character, and then we've got like the snarky, sarcastic male main character, and just like the combination of those two, so good. There's also a marriage of convenience, which literally ate that shit up. Ate that shit up. And of course, she tries to kill him, because it wouldn't be an enemies to lovers romance if there wasn't an attempt on somebody's life. You know what I mean? So this one is one of my favorites, featuring all those beautiful tropes. If you're like me and those tropes sound like a fun ass time, this is for you. This is for you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kara from Kara's Bookshelf. Thank you so much, Mel, for letting me be in this video. So when I think about my favorite fantasy romance trope, I am the type of person who really loves the high fantasy in general. So I obviously have to have a really heavy fantasy world building, fantasy story and setting, all that kind of stuff. But then for the romance, I do love me an enemies to lovers, okay? There's literally no better romance trope than that for me. I cannot read anything else. I absolutely have to read enemies to lovers. So the book that I chose definitely combines these two, and that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Now I know this is an extremely basic recommendation and everyone loves and knows Sarah J. Maas, okay? But the reason I'm recommending this to you is because this is the book that got me into the genre. I have literally just started a deep dive into the fantasy romance genre in general and Sarah J. Maas in general, and it would not have been if I didn't read House of Earth and Blood, okay? I swear to God. The best way I can describe this book is that it's hot Halloween town with a slow burn enemies to lovers romance. We follow a half fae, half human named Bryce Quinlan, who is tasked by the governor of Crescent City to investigate some murders that she has been tied to. And while she's investigating these murders, she is given a really hot bodyguard to look over her. The pacing in this book is great. You literally never get bored, and the world building in this book is incredible with all of the different types of humanoid type creatures all living in one. You get to explore different parts of the city and the world. It's just an incredible, incredible time. I've annotated the crap out of this book, and I literally cannot recommend it enough. You guys can check me out down below for more Sarah J. Maas and fantasy romance content, and thank you so much, Mel, for letting me be in this video. Bye!
Hey guys, I'm Monica from A Little Bit of Monica. I do want to thank Mel so much for including me in this video. It has been so much fun to try to come up with a favorite romantasy trope. Because I read such a variety of books, I kind of read a little bit in every fiction genre, but I've been in my fantasy, romance, and romantasy era for a while now, so that is kind of what I've been really honing in on the last couple of months. And for this, I decided to pick Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is what I would consider more of a cozy fantasy or a cozy romantasy feel, because there is no epic fantasy world building. The plot is not super intricate. I think the main focus of this book is the romance, the relationships that are building, and the found family element, which is a little bit less than the romance, but it's still there and it's still really fun. It is a quick and easy, kind of a popcorny fantasy read, but it's ultimately so much fun. For the trope that this falls under, this is more of a grumpy sunshine or grumpy boss vibe, but the villain in the story has that touch her and die kind of personality, and I am living for it. I loved their dynamic and the way that he protects her in so many different ways, but ultimately very quickly discovers that she is not as delicate as he once would have believed. The story follows Evie, who finds herself without a job, but then she runs into the villain, who offers her the role of assistant in his office, and she soon discovers all of the evil that he gets up to, and yeah, she has to get used to, you know, finding eyeballs rolling across the floor, but she still finds herself falling in love with this evil villain, and he in turn is falling in love with her throughout the story. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but you do get to see them interact so much. You see those little hints here and there that they are falling for each other and that they would do anything for the other, which I think is just so cute, and I love it so much. But again, this is a quick, fun, cozy fantasy romance story that I fell in love with. I hope that you can fall in love with the villain and Evie as much as I did.
One of my absolute favourite tropes is the fated mates, or just any sort of bond trope within a romantasy series. I just love how the protective instinct tends to take over and be such a motivator for the plot, and honestly causes so much drama. So I am just obsessed with that trope, and one of the series that I've been particularly loving recently is Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rorick. This is something that I have become so thoroughly enthralled in, I cannot stop talking about it. So initially within this series, you are following a woman called Scarlet, who is one of 3 women who are known as the Death Race. They have been raised as assassins and are as close as sisters, But if you see any of them, then you know that that is it for you. You are a goner. But you know from the beginning that Scarlet is trying to separate herself from this for some reason, and we don't know that reason to begin with, but we do see her go through this sort of push and pull situation in which she is trying to keep her distance, but is unable to because something weird is going on. There's all of these children going missing within the area that she lives, and she feels she has a responsibility to try and help solve that mystery and see where they're all going and save these children if she's able to. But through digging into this mystery, she ends up opening a whole world that she just could not have anticipated. This is a series that has fae, vampires, witches, it's got everything you could possibly want, and is so character driven that you cannot help but love not only the romance aspect, but just the friendship, any sort of companions, and it's so intense reading about all of these characters because there's such a huge cast of characters that you can't help but care about. And of course, the romance is just top tier, so please read this one, it's so good.
So if you've been watching my channel for a little while, then you may know that I love a good stabby female main character. Give me a girl with a sword, with a knife, with a little bit of a revenge plot and some cutthroat nature, and I am here for it almost every single time. I don't know if that's actually a trope or not, but it should be. So for a stabby female main character, a girl with a little bit of cutthroat tendencies, I want to recommend to you Araya from Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Araya is a human just trying to survive in a vampire world, and to do that she has really had to stand up for herself and prove that she is the badass that she is. She's gonna meet Rain, who is also a badass in his own right, and they're gonna have to go head to head in a deadly competition, and I am here for every second of it. This has other tropes that I love. We have a competition element, we have vampires. I feel like this book just hits so many of my buzzwords, so I'm hoping it'll work really well for you too. This is a completed duology for Rain and Araya, but there's also going to be more books in this world, and I cannot wait to dive into them. So if you're looking for a stabby female main character, a female main character with a ton of grit and a little bit of spunk and spice, then I think Araya is going to be the perfect gal for you.
Hey everyone, my name is Rachel and my channel is ravenhairedreader. So my absolute favorite trope in fantasy romance has to be enemies to lovers. I feel like fantasy romance is the perfect landscape for enemies to lovers to do so well. The tension it creates and just seeing two different characters absolutely hate each other, knife to the throat interactions. It's just so good. And I actually recently read an enemies to lovers fantasy romance that I love, that I'm obsessed with, and that is The Everking by L.J. Andrews. This book is Pirates of the Caribbean meets dark fae fantasy romance. It is so incredible, you guys. Our female main character is a princess of the fae. Our male main character, he is also fae, but he is more of like a wicked kind of sea fae. He ends up kidnapping her, taking her on his ship as an act of revenge against her father. Both of these characters have reason to absolutely hate each other. They actually have quite a history between them. That definitely builds the tension between these two. But after spending some time together, begrudgingly of course, they do start to slowly fall in love. And I just feel like the transition from enemies to lovers was done very well in this book. They're at each other's throats constantly in the beginning, but very slowly those walls start to break down and they end up falling in love, and it's so good, and the spice was amazing. Like, this book is so much fun. It's set on the high seas. There's tons of angst. There's a lot at stake here as well, with a very fun plot. Cannot recommend this book enough. Such a good enemies to lovers fantasy romance.
Hi, my name is Kristen from the channel KristinKravesBooks. Shout out to Mel for asking me to collab today. I will take any excuse I have for a chance to talk about this book, so I was really excited. And the trope I'm going to focus on is one that I feel like I kind of just made up. I don't know that there are other books that exist with this trope, but if there are, I need to hear about them. And I'm calling it Disgust to Love. And the book that I'm talking about is Radiance by Grace Draven. So this is an arranged marriage trope as well, where these two characters from different species are in an arranged marriage for political reasons. They meet each other the day before the wedding, not realizing who they're even talking to, and they have an instant connection that's more of a friendship thing because they think the other one is hideous. They're different species, they're not attracted to one another in the slightest, but we see them get married, and slowly the attraction grows as they get to know one another better, and it's super spicy and just so much fun. And it's the first book in like a larger world, so there's a lot of political intrigue as well. I think this is a good mix of fantasy and romance, but that romance is what really stands out to me. It was just so much fun to see them slowly start to appreciate one another's looks, because within their own kind, they are very attractive. So I don't know if you know of any books that are like this at all. I would love to get some recommendations selfishly, and I can't wait to see what everybody else comes up with.
Hi Mel, thanks for asking me to be a part of this. If you don't already know me, I am CoverswithCassidy. Hello. If you asked me about a month ago what my favorite trope is, I would have said enemies to lovers, but I feel like I've narrowed it down a little bit since then, and I'm really a big fan of reluctant allies to lovers. I think this fits in the umbrella term of enemies to lovers, but I love the banter that comes with reluctant allies to lovers. And if I had to give you a rec for it, you know, there's a lot that fit into this, but I think I'm gonna go with A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. Really, I think showcases why I love this little trope, because it just leads to so many like teasing moments between them. In the story, we're following our main character who lives in a world where the gods take your magic when you're a baby and then they give it back to you at 25. If they did not take your magic, that means there's something wrong with you and your magic is polluted, which means at 25, when they realize you still have magic, the king's guards are going to kill you and your entire family. Our main character, of course, has her magic still and she needs to leave before her 25th birthday. And in her escape, she ends up running into a group of mercenaries and teaming up with them because it seems that they can help each other even if they do not really want to. And I just think that this was such a fun book. If you're looking for a fun time read filled with so much banter and really just have a really good time with your reading experience, definitely pick this one up. I really need more people to read it.
Hi Mel, thank you so much for asking me to be part of this project. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rhiannon and I'm from the channel WelshReader here on BookTube. Now, I've only recently gotten into my fantasy romance era, but one of my favourite tropes is enemies to lovers. And the book that I'm going to recommend for this trope is A Curse of Saints by Kate Dramis. I picked up this book on a whim and I honestly wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I received it in a Fairy Loot box and decided to give it a go, and I'm so glad I did because this got 5 stars from me. In the reading vlog that I read this book in, I mentioned that it's very similar to the Throne of Glass series in the fact that it has a badass female main character. We have a somewhat love triangle in here. There is a lot of court intrigue, politics, and unrest. We also have a lot of magic and magical creatures, as well as one of my other all-time favorite tropes, which is found family. So if you do like any of those things, or you do like Sarah J Maas, I would say that this book is similar to that, but it has better writing, and of course it does have a little bit more spice. In this one, we follow our main character Aya, who is bloodsworn to the Queen. Her job as spy master means that she needs to protect the throne at all costs and do the Queen's bidding. Aya loves everything about this job. It fits her personality perfectly. The only part that she doesn't like is having to spend time with Will, who is the Queen's enforcer and Aya's enemy. But when rumours of dark magic rise in a nearby kingdom, both Aya and Will are sent to investigate, and when Aya's power acts beyond her god-given affinity, she risks being turned into a weapon in a war that she doesn't know how to win. I don't really want to say too much more than that. I feel like I have given you plenty of information with the synopsis and the tropes that I listed off at the beginning of this clip. This book came into my life at the perfect time. I am definitely going to reread it before the next book comes out. I am desperately waiting for the second book, you guys. You have no idea. The ending of this was insane and I'm just so intrigued to see where we're going to go from here, because the stakes are definitely higher and our characters will have to face some tough choices.
Hi guys, it's Jess from HonestFiction, and before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you to Mel for asking me to be part of this video. Now, my absolute favorite romantasy trope has to be touch her and you die, and no one does it better than a hawk from Blood and Ash. If you are unfamiliar with this series, we are following Poppy. She is being raised in isolation as the maiden, getting ready for her ascension. We don't exactly know what this is, we just know that she is dreading the day she has to perform this ritual. So one day she decides to go out in disguise and ends up running into Hawk, who is the newest member of the Rise Guard, and soon he becomes her personal guard. And a romance soon blossoms. Hawk kind of shows Poppy his world. There are vampires, there are shifters. This book has a little bit of everything, and I love all of the touch her and you die vibes. There is a point where the hero in this story literally rips out the spine of another man because he makes the female character flinch, and I live for that. So if you're looking for a series that has immaculate touch her and you die vibes, look no further.
And there you have it, 15 tropes and fantasy romance recommendations from some of my favorite booktubers. Please don't forget to check everybody out in the description box below. Give their channel some love. They are amazing, incredible, wonderful people with even better recommendations over on their channel. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. If you want to hang out with me a little bit more, links to my Instagram, Patreon, Goodreads, and Twitter all in the description box down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!